Well, welcome. But you have happened upon the first of what would be like a 5 or 4 installment mini series in honor of Autism Acceptance / Awareness Month, where I will talk about my experience and my journey to an evaluation and diagnosis as a Black 30-something late diagnosed autistic femme. And like I said, yeah, if left up to me, I could give you my entire story, which is sort of the point. I've been autistic all of my life, only now with the paperwork and the diagnosis to pair with what's been my experience. But for the sake of conciseness, I will simply talk about the events immediately leading up to my diagnosis, as well as open the floor in the comments or the DMs for you guys to like send any probing questions or any, experiences you'd like for me to speak on in depth. But I had just lost 2 incredible figures in my life. And I think part of that experience as a caregiver to them was this feeling that I was not enough. That and I don't mean it in a way that like I am not enough to keep them alive, or I didn't do it. I know my limitations as a non-medical professional. I know my limitations as a human. My limitations as a loved one. A lot of things were hard to experience and go through as someone so close to the affected. And it has changed me in innumerable ways. But I particularly mean this feeling of literally not knowing what to do. Not understanding, all the bureaucracy involved. I just felt like I was lost. I could barely take care of myself, I felt at that point. And then going through these experiences, these back-to-back experiences as a caregiver, there was grief, not only in the loss of those individuals, but also in the knowing that I started with a half deck and I've lost it all. So I am coping with this in the way that I can, but I'm not doing so well. I felt crushed. I felt smuggled. I felt stifled where I was. And at the time, I'm very into hyper-fixated, hyper-obsessed, my special obsession with astrology and horoscopes. And I got a natal chart reading that said I needed to live in Denver for at least 6 months or so of my life. And boom, a bitch did it for 2 years. I, on a whim, I want to say maybe like 3 or 4 months after getting that reading, I moved to so in Colorado, things were just sort of unsustainable, at least financially. The cost of living is much higher there than it has been in Georgia, ever has been. I will say that they pay people there as if they want them to live. That is a difference, but still, not having any supports, not having any financial nets or anything like that, that was really hard. So I could not sustain myself there. And even though I had a job working in early childhood, that experience sort of burned me out before I really knew it. And not really before I knew it, but I think I was burned out, and it was sort of at the fevered pitch that I quit. And doing that without a backup is not, and especially in a place where the cost of living is like second only to California, it was not smart. It wasn't wise at all. And but I was in a state of burnout that I had gotten to right under my very nose, and I quit. And the time that I'd estimated that I would be unemployed was severely underestimated, and I ended up having to move back. And I am back. I feel defeated. My tail is tucked between my legs, and I am crushed. I am sad. I'm in depression. I'm feeling anxiety, which have always been sisters on this journey for me. But yeah, I was really in the thick of it, and I mean, almost a year straight, I was sad. I was in the dumps. So still struggling with employment. I was able to land something seasonal, but once that seasonal gig was up, I was still struggling to land something solid. So I am spiraling really bad at this point. And I happened upon a research study during this time because I don't have any insurance. I am not working. I did not have like the will to apply for any assistance when the shit was available. And so I happened upon a study, and this is at this point, I happened upon a study that was basically studying the effectiveness and reliability of self-reports and self-inventories against that of like one-on-one meetings with psychiatric professionals, mental health professionals, when it came down to ADHD diagnosis. I did that, never having suspected ADHD, but I was like, something the fuck is going on. Something has to give. And this, is, if nothing else, I'll have an answer. I'll have something to come out of it. Because at the time, not only was I just participating in research studies, but I was doing it for money. I was, I needed money. I needed a way to make money. But this one was not a paid offer. It was just more so like, if you've been wanting to get this done and you needed a way to get this done, this is an opportunity to have an answer, whatever. And I was like, that's worth it to me. So I'm going to participate. Again, I go in doing this, not really suspecting ADHD, but I'm just like, I'll have a solid answer. I know something the fuck is going on with me, but I don't know if it's for sure ADHD. I'm just going to see. I didn't think I'd get it because to me, did not fit the bill of what someone with ADHD would present as. I was ADHD. I came back and not only was I ADHD, I was a mixed type ADHD. There's the popularized, this sort of like run of the mill stereotypical look where, you see somebody who's like hyperactive, always into something, starting new things before they finish the other one and things like that. Mind you, I told you I made a rash decision to move to Colorado, and things, went into flames because of poor planning and poor preparation and things like that. But I still did not believe that was ADHD. I didn't believe that had anything to do with that. It's just divinity had run its course in Colorado. No, I mean, accountability, of course. I knew where the fuck I had messed up at, but I did not think I didn't see ADHD in anything about me. I'm loving the sit I'm at a camera. Nobody told me about that. I like the way that looks. Okay. In my having that diagnosis, also was an area where they had assessed me for OCD. That was listed as moderate. Panic disorder, moderate. I'm like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. First, y'all only said ADHD. Not only do I discover that I do have ADHD, I have mixed hyperactive inattentive style ADHD, but I also see something about some other letters and shit here and some other letters and shit here. And I'm like, okay, I don't get it. I hadn't encountered this in my life. Yes, I've gotten prescription. I've been dealing with anxiety and depression for a while. I had even gone through a period where a mental health professional diagnosed me as borderline personality disorder. I didn't resonate with that, so fuck that. But here, I'm like, okay, if it's not borderline personality disorder, how come it became all of this? Like, what is all of this? And so I got curious and I started doing some research, finding out that it used to be common thought that you can't be ADHD and autistic at the same time. Science, thank God for it, knowledge, research has proven that to be quite the opposite. That more times than not, if you do present as ADHD or diagnosed as ADHD, you are 9 times out of 10 also on the ASD spectrum or autistic in some way. And so maybe had it just been ADHD, it might not have been enough for me to like go on. But knowing that I've had this feeling of insufficiency for most of my life, feeling like this, like just incompatibility with life, and seeing this OCD, the panic disorder, I was like, oh, okay, something is going on. Let me go ahead and see, what answers I can find in pursuing an autism diagnosis. So I knew that at the moment I could not do so. Eventually, I got on Medicaid and I saw this as my opportunity. I'm like, okay, this is a chance to get the answers I need. So I did some research, found a virtual diagnostic tool or virtual provider, Prosper Health. And I did, the evaluation and did my inventory and all those good things. They interviewed a relative and family members and they answered and all that shit. And I'm like, oh, what is the answer? To no one's surprise, level 1 autistic. Yeah, I have been sort of like opening my mind to what all that entails, finally having that on paper. Like I said, my experience has been my experience. I know how I've felt. I mean, I've just had these experiences that have disconnected me so much from a lot of my identities. Like, a lot of autism is its own brand of living and experiencing that sort of cuts you off from the relatability and the connectivity found in some of your other identities. And I struggled so much with that. I struggled not only with, relating to people, but just understanding why things were what they were, understanding myself and why I did things when the other person felt so at ease doing this other thing. And it's just, so yeah, I'm still, kind of contending with that new reality and sort of giving myself grace as I go through, this total shift, really. But as far as the path to, I think I just reached the end of the story before I expected to, and now I'm kind of lost for words. So I'm gonna wrap this up because we would have been here forever, and we still probably are here forever. But please feel free to probe and ask your questions as they appear, and I will do my best within my discretion to answer those. Regarding my experience, if you think something going on and you have the resources and the time, which is also a resource, an invaluable one, an unrenewable one, a non-renewable one, however you say the term. But if you have the opportunity to, if you suspect anything, just go. We are often underdiagnosed, misdiagnosed. Go get that shit checked out.